Good morning and welcome to Sunday's Early Morning Intuitive Guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom to start your day off well. And we'll give it a minute for everyone to pop on, and then I have a confession to make. So, let's start with a little bit of tapping and a little bit of breath, just to center ourselves, bring ourselves into the present moment right here, right now. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more breath. Good grief. Washed my tongue, can't do a thing with it. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Just settling into right here, right now. Good morning, Miss Jo Neal. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. We'll give it a minute for the rest of our practical rebels to mosey on in this fine Sunday. So, good morning, Nancy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's supposed to be hotter than the hinges of hell again here today. So, I put my shorts back on. Forget it. Enough of this. Good morning, Beth. Welcome. Glad you are here. Waving back. So, the practical rebels starting to roll in. Probably not Mel because she's at a, what did she call it? Fish camp. Fish camp. I've certainly heard of deer camp. I've not heard of fish camp. But it's a group of women who are getting together and having a ball and rock on with themselves. That's awesome. So, want to, before I forget, plug Unity Cafe again this morning. So at 7 a.m. Central Time, we will be convening on Zoom for an hour to talk about whatever comes to mind, whatever we have burning questions about, whatever we'd like to get the opinions of our fellow practical rebels about. So if you are already on the mailing list for that, you should have received the link yesterday. If you are not on the mailing list for that and would like to be, send me an email, bonnie@empowermentandpurpose.com. Good morning, Gwen. She's a regular on our Unity Cafes. Quite a few of you have attended multiple of them. So again, Unity Cafe this morning via Zoom for an hour, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Time, and bonnie@empowermentandpurpose.com. Send me just, I'd like the Unity Cafe link, please, and I will send it out to you so you can join us this morning. So, now I have to remember. My poor brain. Yesterday was an incredibly busy day with Dad. Lots of different places to go. My sister took him to see the top choice that we've picked for a place for him should he not be able to return home. And we came to an agreement, Vicki and I, that whenever she says, I don't know, I'm going to say whatever, because those are our two most common phrases lately. I don't know, whatever. So we have an agreement on that. Our card today, actually it's not a card, it's part of Tosha Silver's outrageous openness, letting the divine take the lead. Good morning, Abigail. Welcome. Glad you are here. And this is an interesting one. My confession that I mentioned at the beginning of this video is that yesterday when we had Tosha, what I'm going to read to you today was the first thing that came across my radar screen, and there was a part of it that, and she acknowledges this, was upsetting and distasteful in a way. So me, yesterday, being tired, was like, oh, hell no, I'm not reading that one. Well, it showed back up today. So getting the clue, we need to hear this, and we need to figure out how is this applicable in our lives, and might we want to change that a bit. So, you ready? First, let's a little bit of tapping, because I did this really early in today's video and many of you weren't here. A little bit of tapping, a little bit of breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. I like the fall colors on your greeting there, Abigail. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more, putting us in flow. In through the nose, Out through the mouth. Settling in to right here, right now. Grounding ourselves through our feet and the end of our tailbone. Down into Mother Earth. Grounding, grounding, grounding. So, this particular chapter is called Death Becomes Her. I don't know if you guys saw that movie. Quite interesting. Death Becomes Her. It's on page 113 for those of you who have the book and whose book is numbered the same way mine is, because some are not. The quote is Florence Scovel Shinn, "Anything forced into manifestation through personal will is always ill-gotten." Anything forced into manifestation through personal ill will is always ill-gotten. And I know I have found that when I've made something happen that very clearly was not intended to happen, what followed thereafter was not pleasant. Was not pleasant. So, let's read the chapter and then we'll have a chat, shall we? One of my favorite books is a deceptively simple tome called The Game of Life and How to Play It, by Florence Scovel Shinn, a New York metaphysician from the 1940s with a disarmingly direct manner. Any of you been accused of disarmingly direct manner? Jonelle, I know you have been. Me too. Good morning, Ruth Ann. Glad you're here. Thank you for the sunshine. Tosha says about Ruth Scovel Shinn, Florence Scovel Shinn, "I love her. I loved her instantly. She shared the basic principles of divine order and selection with pristine clarity." Sometimes when someone has pristine clarity, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it. So, let's see where we're at with this one. "Discovering this text changed me overnight. I started seeing how anyone could learn to dance with life if the mind was kept positive and receptive." I love that line. Let's read it again. Anyone could learn to dance with life if the mind was kept positive and receptive. How are we doing on that? Positive and receptive. I am getting a world-class test in that with regard to my father. We can't control a bloody thing. Tomorrow there's going to be multiple evaluations for him. We can't control the one. They can't even tell us the time they're going to do it. So trying to figure out, I'm going to put on my yoga clothes anyway. If I end up going to the evaluation in my yoga clothes, so be it. So be it. We don't have control. We like to think we do. Good morning, Noel. Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. This is a good one. This is a really good one. Okay? So I'm going to read Florence Scovel Shinn's quote again. "Anything forced into manifestation through personal will is always ill-gotten." And now I'm going to read this line that I love again. "Anyone can learn to dance with life if the mind is kept positive and receptive." The book with the funny archaic name became my Bible. In one story, Shinn told of a woman who coveted a certain home. Have you ever coveted something? A car, a book, someone's significant other, blah, blah, blah. Thank you, Gwen. I love that. I just love that. I'm going to write that one down on a 3x5 card and plop it on my desk somewhere. So this woman who coveted a certain home. Every day she visualized herself there totally transfixed. When the owner finally died one day of a sudden illness, the woman bought the place, thrilled that her dream had come true. Yet from the moment she moved in, a nightmare ensued, including the unexpected death of her own partner. One day she asked Shinn if she had helped cause the former owner's passing through her obsession. Shinn replied, "Quite likely. Your determination to get what you wanted was so strong, you helped the other woman leave. Now you're reaping the fruit." We reap what we sow. How long have we heard that, right? She went on, "It would have been far better to call in divine order and say, 'Bring the right home for me. Let divine order pick the perfect place that's meant to be mine.'" Tosha says, "Well, that story scared the bejesus out of me. I could feel its essential truth. My own strong attachments had often created painful, chaotic results. Anyone else? I know for me it's certainly been true. Well, it needs to go this way. And either it goes that way and it's an utter shit show, or it doesn't go that way and I've ripped my guts out being upset about it not having gone that way. Either way, lose-lose, right? Far better. Okay, divine, bring me this or something better in divine right timing and divine right order. I'm so happy and grateful to receive, right? Turning it over, letting it go, not trying to force a particular outcome. As she said, my own strong attachments had often created painful, chaotic results. Luckily, I was almost spent. By this time, she had burned herself out doing that. Florence's book had arrived like the cavalry. Rather than blindly chasing outcomes, she taught me to inwardly ask, let things happen as they are meant to, in the highest way for all involved. Isn't that a beautiful question? Let things happen as they are meant to, in the highest way for all involved. So when shitty stuff unfolds, what if we look for what are the nuggets of gold in this particular disaster? I'll just grab a quick one that pops into my mind, and I was talking to somebody about it yesterday. Mr. Rogers, from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, he would always say that his mom would always tell him as a little boy, when he was upset about things that were going on in the world, look for the helpers. Look for the helpers. Even in disastrous situations, there are always the people who show up to help. Look at them. Look at them. Let things happen as they are meant to, in the highest way for all involved. If you ask the universe to bring what's right, you can't go wrong. If you ask the universe to bring what's right, you can't go wrong. How is this meant to unfold? How is this unfolding in the divine plan? How is this in divine right order and divine right timing? Rather than me, the human, with my limited brain, it's a powerful brain, but it's limited, trying to dictate, well, God, here's how I want it to go, and here's how I expect that to unfold. Thank you for that one too, Gwen. That is a fabulous statement. Let us hang on to this statement. This will remove a whole lot of suffering from life. Let things happen as they are meant to, in the highest way for all involved. I've watched through thousands of readings, because remember, she was a psychic before she began doing this kind of stuff. I've watched through thousands of readings how trouble invariably follows when someone tries to commandeer what isn't theirs. Even the word disaster means going against the stars. I think a useful question we can ask ourselves when we're obsessed with something, and interestingly, I like watching stuff on YouTube, and many of the influencers that I watch, I like the house flipping ones, I like the furniture flipping ones, I like the thrifting ones, blah, blah. Many of the younger people will say, I'm totally obsessed with this now. This is my obsession now. And I kind of smirk because, yep, there's another one. Thank you, Gwen. I appreciate that. All the nuggets of gold getting put in the feed today. When we are obsessed with something, a useful question to ask ourselves is, what is this obsession about? What is feeding this obsession? Why this thing, this person, this circumstance? Why have I homed in on this? Because underneath the obsession is the drive to that obsession. Understand the drive. It's so helpful. So helpful. And how many of you have found that when you actually get that thing, whatever it is, in short order, it's unimportant to you? Okay, maybe it was about the pursuit. Maybe that was the drive underneath it. I've picked something that I can pour my time and energy into, and that feels good, so that's what I'm going to do. Check it out for yourself. What's driving the obsession? Tosha says, but divine order always brings the right solution at the right time. You learn to relax and follow the cosmically ordained route when it appears. You won't miss it. You won't miss it. Yes, understand the drive. Yes, yes, yes. So, think about this. Divine order always picks the right solution at the right time. If you feel like I feel with the intentional community, I've been working on this bloody thing for years, over 5 years. I am not a patient person. Okay, universe, when's this thing going to manifest? It's not divine right timing. Maybe it's not divine right order. Who knows? But again, I can, and I probably will, start with whatever, throwing up my hands, less than graciously moving into the flow of divine unfolding. But usually with time, I am able to go, yeah, this is not how it's meant to go. So this or something better. What else is opening up? I pay attention. I look around, etc. Look at all the nuggets of gold in this little 2-page blurb. Yeah, the P word. The P word. Time for some patience. But interestingly, think about this. Patience automatically develops when you shift from it has to go my way to divine right timing and divine right order. Offer this to me, bring what's right for me. Let divine order pick the right thing that's meant to be mine. Let things happen as they are meant to in the highest way for all involved. I love that one because it brings more people into it than just us. Let this unfold in the highest way for all involved. Certainly I want to do that with this circumstance with my dad. My sister and I, we need some relief here. My dad needs to be wherever he's going to be able to be the best him he can be. As Vicky always says, I just want him to feel like a person, right? So, what's the best circumstance for that? And what's the best timing for that? Sometimes life puts timing on us. Like in this particular situation with my dad, who's calling the shots? The insurance company. Medicare. Medicare gets to say, nope, no more, you're done. He needs to go somewhere else. Whether somewhere else has an opening or not, whether or not the home might be ready to receive him, doesn't matter. He's out as of X day. So, sometimes we have to work with that as well. What if that is part of divine right timing and divine right order? Us needing to figure out plan C or D or Z or whatever. So, what are you pulling from this? I mean, certainly the things that people have put in the feed are things that chimed for them. Also, they chimed for me, so that kind of puts them out there. But what are you learning? What's the circumstance in your life to which you want to apply this learning? This isn't just meant to be an intellectual exercise. This is meant to be a heart and soul exercise. Open your heart and soul to this or something better. And better, by definition, being what the universe selects, not necessarily what we'd select. Let's take a breath on that. Because especially when these things involve us intimately or our loved ones intimately, it's certainly hard not to want to dictate to the universe how this thing ought to go. That creates more suffering for us. I hate to say it, but it creates more suffering for us. So, say it with me. Let's do this as call and response. You ready? Let things happen as they are meant to happen, in the highest way for all involved. And so be it. So, I hope you have an awesome Sunday. I hope you have some time to spend in nature. I hope you have some time to spend with people you love, including yourself. So if you're going to have a solitude day, love yourself through it. That's awesome. I will see some of you on Unity Cafe shortly. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.